is July 4th, 2013. Happy America Day!
Yip, yip, yip.
I am celebrating with peanut butter and iced coffee and vitamins from a package with lots of sugar. And I was just remembering an article that I wrote. I can't find the mouse. There it is. An article that I wrote a few years ago on about July 4th, and I thought that maybe I would read it. In part to preserve it, because who knows how long LiveJournal will be around. But also I remember it being kind of an interesting article. So, here it is. So I was invited to the only 4th of July party in Chiang Mai, Thailand,
bursting in
at the American consulate.
Through the night,
I expressed my insecurity about attending such an event to Matt, my friend who invited me. So we got a bit chemically imbalanced before going, which I think was a good idea, but it also made me really unsure about whether my judgments of the adventure were accurate. You see, we got a ride with Matt's favorite tuk-tuk driver, one of those bicycles with the cart, who dropped us off at the back gate of a high-walled consulate compound. After showing our passports and hearing, "Thank you very much," from a middle-aged, busty blonde woman, in we went, past various armed guards. The consulate is composed of various new, shiny, house-like buildings and plentiful, well-manicured shrubberies. The path led us to an open area which was lined with tents donning the ever-American familiarities: McDonald's, Budweiser, Starbucks, and a booth for a watermelon eating contest. The landscape was densely, but not dangerously densely, scattered with people, especially families, scurrying children, and pregnant women. The whiteness of the faces glowed as though under a blacklight. As Old Navy t-shirts filed past us, we decided to get a beer, choosing an overpriced Sam Adams over the Bud, Coors Light,
that saved a wretch
other classy American specialties. And we scoped the place out. The workers at most of the tents were Thai,
but now
creating a bizarre
I'm
hierarchical
found
dynamic.
was
A Thai jazz band played some chintzy tunes and watched the spectacle before them with bugged eyes, much like myself. It was a colony. I'm not sure if that word holds as many negative connotations for you as it does for me. An island of Americans, enclosed by walls from the unknown, and probably very dangerous, Thai land and culture that seemed stretched away on all sides as far as the eye could see. I couldn't decide whether to feel comfortable in the familiarity, safe in the ease of socialization and communication potential, or terrified by a possible terrorist attack and disgusted that so many people feel the desire to hang out among their own instead of in a fascinating world of so many perspectives. The government presence of the consulate had that "don't worry, we're taking care of everything" feeling, as well as representing all of the failings of America in my mind. You see, it was a family-friendly event. Smiling faces exchanged overly enthusiastic expressions at each other, and mothers mingled while their blonde, chubby children bounced in the bouncy house. The outward familiarity of the people made me feel like I should know them. I kept expecting to see a familiar face. I contemplated who would be the most bizarre person from my past, distant past, to meet in one of those small world encounters abroad. But they were all doppelgangers. Nobody was actually my acquaintance, but I felt like I knew them all. The stock characters of American drama as seen on TV. It was all extremely reminiscent of my childhood, when my family would attend fairs and strawberry festivals, folk festivals, ice cream socials, and all of those sugar-coated, family-oriented community events. I realized that I haven't been to such a thing since my family broke out of the cookie-cutter mold by moving abroad and getting divorced.
Yankee Doodle, keep it up, Yankee Doodle dandy. Mind the music and the step, and with the girls be handy. Yankee Doodle went to town a-riding on a pony, stuck a feather in his hat and called it macaroni. Yankee Doodle, keep it up, Yankee Doodle dandy. Mind the music and the step, and with the girls be handy. With the girls be handy.
For a table to quickly eat as much watermelon as they could. In the name of victory! Matt shouted out, "Bulimia is okay!" Which he thought was very funny, but I couldn't tell if it was totally inappropriate. And then we seized our opportunity to go have a jump in the bouncy house, since the density of wee ones was significantly lessened as they flocked to the watermelon spectacle. The little guys we bounced with looked slightly confused by our presence, but Matt said, "We're big kids," and they seemed to be okay. Feeling as though I was being watched like a hawk by the overly protective parents in a world of pedophilia, I tried to act like I was one of them, like I was supervising to make sure all the bouncers were accounted for. I helped to his feet several times, a little guy who was trying to bounce while holding a balloon in one hand without a string. Then suddenly there was a wave of scurrying heads, and Matt and I barely escaped the post-watermelon frenzy of bouncy house chaos. Then came the patriotic sing-along, which they called karaoke, trying to appeal to the popular Thai trend, and I guess Japanese and American bar scene fad as well, maybe everywhere, but it was really just several middle-aged women swaying together and belting out America the Beautiful and whatever that government commissioned. I'm proud to be an American, 'cause at least I know I'm free. Country song. This made me very uncomfortable. Also, at this time, Matt saw his friend, a Thai lawyer, who was schmoozing with some older gentlemen in business suits. We chatted with Tom, and suddenly I felt ashamed, like I needed to explain and justify that these songs and this spectacle is the result of brainwashing that our government imposes on school children. But patriotism is perfectly healthy in Thailand. Well, maybe. I try not to judge. But as I explained to a British man I chatted with later, they have a king and queen, royalty, something to be proud of. Beautiful, lavish people who give a country a smiling face but don't actually do anything objectionable. At least nothing that gets published. I'm not proud to be an American because Americans are represented by our current government and our current face to the world. That of corrupt foreign policy workers, military noses, and loud, indolent tourists who want to shop and have their latte with the milk on the side, please. But I am proud to be well educated, well fed, and well traveled, which are all products of our nation's wealth. I'm proud to have access to many information sources and opportunities and jobs at home and abroad. I am accustomed to having social services like sanitation and food standards and licensing of professionals and drivers. Some of those things aren't so bad. But I also leave the country whenever and as much as possible. I travel because I like other places better. I left my hometown because I found something better. I met an American man who was living in Thailand because he's getting old and he has diabetes. And though he has been working for his entire life, he cannot afford to retire in the United States because he would not be able to pay for his diabetes medicine. He can't afford to live in America. And that system is fucked up. America, America, God shed His grace on thee, and crown thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea. America, America, God shed your grace on us, please, and crown thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea. I then figured that many travelers, at least the long-term ones, leave America because they like someplace else better. And Americans who have lived abroad are automatically pretty cool because at least you know they have more than the ridiculously high percentage of U.S. citizens who have never left their own state. People live abroad for some interesting reasons, too. So perhaps that world around me, American residents of Thailand, weren't so bad after all. But why is it they were being so damn patriotic? It was a weird place with weirdly normal Americans. Pride of American identity and all it represents? Or a drunken community of expats fondly remembering the songs they were trained to know, grateful for a reason to gather and celebrate together in their native language.